Good morning, everybody. My name is Amber Hines from Wealth Merge, and I'm so happy that you guys were able to join us today. We're excited to have Jim Blake of BAMBiz Marketing with us today. He's going to be talking about seminars and really how to use online platforms to fill your workshops. If you have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to type those into the GoToWebinar dashboard. You can also find a copy of the handouts that Jim prepared for today's webinar in the handout section of GoToWebinar as well. So with that, Jim, I'm going to hand everything over to you. And like I said, we're excited to have you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Amber, for having me on. I'm excited to talk a little bit about how you can grow your practice, where your current clients are, how to get in front of them, and then how to build relationships with those potential clients to get them interested and actively engaged with your firm. So here we go. And again, if you have any questions as we're talking about any particular slide, feel free to add them into GoToWebinar, and then we're going to leave some time at the end to go over those questions. So I'm not going to answer those as we're going, but we'll save some time at the end to go over those together. And as a thank you for being a part of this webinar today, at the end of the presentation, I am going to give you guys a link where you can download one of our Elder Law Workshop PowerPoint presentations, which is a great tool if you don't have one already, where you can just enter your firm information, some stories, testimonials, and then use that as a tool to do your own workshops in the future. So here we go. So grab a pen, take notes, write down the questions. I know it's lunchtime. Close out the other windows, put down the phone. This is going to be a lot of information coming at you. So who am I and why should you listen to me? So I've been in the sales and marketing industry for over 13 years, working most of that time in the automotive industry, healthcare industry, and the fitness industry. And I was actually introduced to the elder law and estate planning field by my wife, who used to work for Elder Council and was the director of the Heckerling Institute. And what would happen is at those events, I would meet a lot of different elder law attorneys and estate planning attorneys, and they would tell me the struggles that they were having at their firm just over drinks at the cocktail receptions. And I found out that what we do in other industries should work really well for elder law and estate planning firms. And so what we ended up doing is tried some different tests out and found that the principles that we were using actually ended up working better for elder law than it had for any other industry that I've worked with in the past. So now we exclusively work with elder law firms all across the United States. We don't really work with any other industries at all. And so it ends up working out really well for everybody. And like I said, our main thing that we focus on is marketing elder law workshops online and then helping you build relationships with new potential clients before they ever even come into your office, which is what we're going to go over today. So I like to have you sit back and kind of imagine how it would be if you could easily retain clients because they feel like they already know, like, and trust you. You had packed elder law workshops with qualified attendees, and you had new clients reaching out to you every single day, kind of on demand. How would that change your practice? How would you be able to grow in 2020 if that was the case? So the first thing I wanted to go over is, where are your future clients spending their time right now? So if you're thinking about your client and what they do on a day-to-day basis, where are they spending their time? And what you'll find out is they are on Facebook. And I wanted to show you some stats. And I got these from the Pew Research Center. About 7 in 10 of US adults are using Facebook. Among the US adults who use Facebook, around 3/4 are visiting the site once every single day. 46% of those over 65 are active on Facebook, and that's up 20% from 2012. So that number continues to grow. So those are people over 65 years of age. And then around 4 in 10 US adults are getting all their news from Facebook for the most part. They're getting their news and resource from Facebook. Now, the most interesting part of all of this is the bottom part of this slide right here. Many adult Facebook users in the US lack a clear understanding of how the platform's news feed works. And we're going to come back to that here in just a little bit. But that's really important because if we're using the platform effectively to reach potential clients, they're looking and they're engaging and they're interacting with things on Facebook, but they don't really know why it works. And you can use that to your advantage as an elder law firm. To give you an idea, I found this, I like interacting with our local library here. And so I saw that they actually were hosting an event, Facebook for Seniors. So I screenshotted that event and wanted to share that with you. But seniors are active on Facebook. They want to learn about it. They want to be on there. And like you can see, they have a little dog picture, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, even the library is saying, they're keeping in touch with their grandkids and longtime friends. And so the local library is teaching seniors how to interact and use Facebook as a tool. So if your potential clients are on Facebook right now, how can you capture their attention, right? That's the goal. And so what you need to do is you need to interrupt their patterns. So what do I mean by that? Just think about how you personally use social media. You're scrolling along aimlessly, looking at pictures or looking at videos or reading status updates or news articles or whatever that is. You need to do something that is completely out of the ordinary so that they stop aimlessly scrolling and give your piece of content the 2 or 3 seconds to find out if it's actually valuable to them. Then when you interrupt their pattern, you want to talk about topics that actually matter to them. Now, if you're targeting the right people, your topics that you'd be covering as an elder law attorney are going to matter to them. So as long as you're able to interrupt their pattern and have them stop and read or watch your piece of content, it will relate to them. You don't want to come off too polished. And we have a lot of clients that when we first start working together, they'll reach out and they'll be like, we need to hire a videographer to come in and shoot this professional looking video, and it wants to be beautiful. We're gonna have a drone that's gonna fly overhead of our office and whatever, right? That doesn't relate to anybody. And so that might look really good like on your website or as a piece of marketing material that's not social media, but the less polished your content looks, the better it's going to perform with the general public audience. And you want to provide help, not services. So when you're talking to people, you want to not talk about coming in directly for a consultation or anything direct, like come do business with us right away. You want to talk about a pain point and provide some help or assistance or tips or tools or anything, but you don't want to just go right at them for your services. And then when you do provide help to those people, you want them to take action immediately. So you want them to click on your post, you want them to interact with the materials that you're talking to them about, and then you want them to do something. So if that's provide their contact information to download a resource, provide their contact information to get a call back from the firm, or register for an upcoming workshop that you're hosting, whatever it is, you need there to be an end game and then kind of work backwards. So if your goal is to get them to come into your workshop, okay, well then if they're interested in my workshop, they're probably going to be interested in how to protect their home and their savings from long-term care nursing home costs. So let's talk a little bit about that. Well, I need to make a video about that. Let me get my smartphone, and then you'll create that smartphone video that's not polished, talking about those topics that matter. And then you need to make it a little bit fun and interesting or bold so it interrupts their patterns when they're actually scrolling online. So how do you build a real relationship with one of these brand new people that you've never met in person? And so what we did is we put together a little method we call the APST method. And so the first step is automation. When somebody interacts or opts in to something that you're providing, you need to send an introduction sequence to that person. And the way that we recommend doing this is by when somebody provides their email to you, you put them on a drip sequence, what we would call it, but an introduction email sequence. And what that would do is it teaches this person that's never heard of you before about who you are, what you do, why you do it, things that you help people with that they have no idea that you could even help them with, and then a call to action. So now that you know more about me and the firm, we'd love to learn more about you and your unique situation. We can't wait to see you at the upcoming workshop, or we can't wait to have you come in for the consultation to tell us your story. But you do that on automatic. So you write those emails up, and then you schedule those to go out one a day, every day for 5 days. So that way, once somebody interacts with you and provides their contact information, you're able to build an automatic relationship with that person. The next step would be phone calls. So as soon as somebody provides their phone number to you, you need like that minute, if possible, to get somebody on your staff to get on the phone with that new contact to get them into the next step. That's the most important part. Obviously, if it's night or weekend, then you can't do it right then, but the next morning, 8 a.m., 7 a.m., or whenever, get on the phone with that person. Thank you for downloading our guide. Thank you for registering for our workshop. Thank you for submitting an appointment request on our website. The faster you get on the phone with those people, the more likely they're going to interact and want to retain you. Stories, providing real life examples, of stories are what's going to matter most to these potential clients. So stories sell, I guess, is what we would typically say in the marketing world, and that's true for elder law firms as well. And then, like I said, the testimonials, video or text. So if you have a happy client, get those testimonials. If they're willing to share on video, that's even better. And then you can use those testimonials to build credibility and use those for outreach. The number one reason why many qualified consultations go unscheduled after your workshop. So this is one of the pain points that we hear a lot of attorneys talk to us about, is getting qualified consultations at the event. So a lot of people have no problem getting consultations, but they could definitely do better. And what we found out is that the attendees, in most cases, have no idea that the consultation is the next step in that process. So in order to fix that, you need to clearly tell the attendees at the start of your event that the consultation is the next logical step. And that you do that by starting off your workshop right, and you build in time to schedule consultations into your event. So the best way for me to explain this to you is, if I'm starting the event, at the very beginning of the event, I'm going to just call out the obvious. And so I'll say something like, thank you so much for attending our workshop today. Obviously, everybody's situation is unique. We understand that. We're going to go over a lot of topics that you're going to find valuable today. But what we found out is that a lot of people want to come in for that consultation, and that's why we offer that to all the attendees at the workshop. And so about 30 minutes or so before this event's over, we're going to come through and we're just going to make sure that we can get everybody down for a time for a consultation. Because what we found in the past is that at the end, if everybody's trying to get in line for a consultation, some people don't want to wait in line. Sometimes it's awkward. So we've just fixed that problem by going through the middle of the workshop, making sure everybody has a time that fits their needs, and then going from there. And what we found out is when you start off, and then you just go right into your workshop after a little introduction like that. About 30 minutes before the workshop's over, typically right after you tell some testimonials or stories about real life clients that have worked with you in the past, then you have your assistant or yourself go through the audience, get times down like on the clipboard or an iPad, get those consultations already scheduled, and then you do that as quick as you can, and then you kind of go back into the workshop, wrap it up with some important topic and maybe a Q&A. And then at the end of the workshop, the best part is nobody's rushing the door. You don't have to worry about getting consultations. The consultations are already scheduled and there's no awkward exits. So direct mail seems to be the most popular way for elder law attorneys and estate planning attorneys to get people to their workshops. And what we found is that direct mail is not really effective for elder law or estate planning firms anymore. And the reason why is because these events are expected. People are used to being invited to the free, quote unquote, free dinner seminar, right? So they get the postcard in their mailbox, they open it up, they see that they're invited to an upcoming event. They might have 2 or 3 of those in their mailbox at any given time from financial advisors and attorneys and CPAs and stuff. So they're used to that method. Like I said, mailbox, and it's expensive, lots of competition. So the solution to that is to catch people where they least expect it. Change the way that you're marketing these events. And this is where it comes back to that Pew Research study. 46% of those 65 and over are active on Facebook. So your audience is on Facebook. And then many Facebook users in the United States lack a clear understanding of how the platform's newsfeed works. So the reason that's important is because they already know the direct mail game. They know that they're going to get invited to these events by direct mail. So if they're sitting online looking at pictures of their family, their grandkids, pets, longtime friends, and then you interrupt their pattern with an ad talking about, or a video talking about your upcoming workshop, how you're inviting them to the workshop, they're interested in that because they're targeted, just like they would be targeted, the same type of targeting that you would do if you were doing a direct mail campaign, but you've gotten them out of their normal methods. They don't understand really how the platform's news feed's working. They know they're interested in this. They know it's not a direct mail piece. They can interact with it. They can make their registration, and it's just a lot more effective to get in front of the right people at the right time with the right message. So the biggest marketing mistake that you can make with your budget that I wanted to talk about is spending a lot of your money without collecting contact information from different people. And when people talk to us, before I go into this, so when people come and talk to us and we mention Facebook, a lot of law firms will be like, we tried Facebook ads and they didn't work. And we honestly don't even think about what we do as a Facebook ad. It's no different to us as a newspaper or a direct mail or a billboard or anything. We're just capturing qualified people where they're spending their time, right? And so when we're doing that though, like we had talked about at the beginning of the webinar, we're trying to get people to, break their patterns and interact with what we're doing, but we want to get them to do something. We don't want to pay for advertising that directs people to do nothing. One of the things that I always tell our elder law attorneys is like, I don't care if 100 people or 1 million people see your ad. I care how many people sign up for your workshop or download your resources or contact you for a consultation. If I can get only 30 people to see your workshop ad and all 30 people sign up for your workshop, then that is going to be a very successful ad to us, right? Because if 1,000 people saw it and 2 people signed up for your workshop, yeah, 1,000 people saw it, but it wasn't an effective ad. So collecting contact information is the biggest way, without spending the money, without collecting the contact information, is the biggest waste of marketing that you could do for your firm. Basically, yeah, like this, praying that somebody calls you or purposely reaches out for more information. So if you run an ad, like for Facebook likes, and here's an example here, right? So this is a market, just change market to elder law firm, and come to our firm, like our Facebook page. Like, you're paying for a Facebook like that means nothing. It's a waste of money. Facebook ads to your website. They go to your website, they see, everybody's website's different. Some are really good, some are not that good. And then they might be interested, but then if there's not a call to action or no way for you to grab their contact information, then pretty much they're just gonna leave at that point. And you wasted your money on that ad. Or PPC ads to your website. So again, pay per click, that just takes them to your website without any type of lead generation or lead collection. It's just not worth it. So what you need to do, you need to send people to pages or events where they can enter their phone, email, and name so that they'll receive more information, the educational materials, RSVP for your workshops, schedule a consultation. And when you do this, you don't want to give them any other option on that page. And so, like for example, when we put together a landing page or a registration page or any type of these little examples, like you see a Salesforce example that we screenshotted here, we don't have links to your website. We don't have links to your About Me page. We don't have anything. They can't do anything on this page other than add their contact information and get what they came for. Now, we if they don't put in their information and they leave, okay, then that's fine too. Like if we're doing this, or if somebody else is doing this for you, or you're doing it yourself, you can put different types of tracking codes on those websites where you'll know not necessarily their contact information, but you can retarget them. So the next time that they're on Facebook, or the next time that they're on Google or whatever, and they're searching, or they're just on Facebook in general, you can say, hey, I saw you were interested, in our upcoming event, or you were interested in this guide download, but you didn't, did you have any other questions for us? Did you want to schedule a time? You can go at them with different messages to see which one that they actually engage with. And when you're retargeting, you're only showing the ads to people that have already interacted with you. And so that's good too. So again, when you send them to this, don't worry about them clicking around your website. Get the information that you want if you're spending the marketing dollars, and don't give them other options at all. So now when you're doing these events and you're talking to a room full of potential clients, you don't want to sound like a salesperson. So some of the biggest mistakes that we've seen are when an attorney is talking to a room full of people and they're using a bunch of legal jargon when they're having their presentations. It just confuses everybody. It's going to lower the amount of people that actually come in for the consultation, which at the end of the day is going to lower the number of clients that you're going to retain from these events. You want to talk to the people like they're a room full of middle school students. When we actually write our advertisement, we use a software tool that runs all the language through it, and we make sure that we're basically talking to somebody at a 4th grade reading level or below. Once you go above a 4th grade reading level, the conversion, or the amount of people that actually click the ad, interact with the ad, and provide their information goes down the toilet. So when you're doing this for a room full of people, again, the same thing. Talk to them like they're a room full of middle school students. Not that they're stupid, but just keep the language very simple. And you always want to talk about why, not how. No one came to your event or is planning on coming to your event to be taught the law. They want to know why the topics you are teaching matter, how they help the families, and the real results that their family can expect together if they decide to work with your firm. So just keep it very basic. Again, let them know about the consultation offer. Let them know that every situation is unique, but just give them the whys and not the hows. And then finally, when you're talking to a room full of people, the goal is to just stop and tell stories. So stories and more stories and more stories. The whole presentation can be stories, honestly. If you just talked about how you helped a family avoid probate, how you helped a family, pay for their long-term care, how you helped a family set up a special needs trust, and you just went over all these stories, you just one after the next, for 45 minutes of stories. People are going to love you, right? And if you start going into, what is the difference between a will and a trust, and you start going into some of the more technical, the hows, you lose people. So that's the best way to control the room. And then obviously, when you're in front of people and you're talking to people, you want to be trustworthy. You want to be a trustworthy friend. You want to smile, and honestly, dress like your clients. You want to be the authority, and you will be the authority of the room when you're up there speaking in front of people. But for example, when we run our ads all over the country, the best performing ads are the ones where the attorney is, maybe they're wearing a polo instead of a a jacket and a tie, because when somebody's looking at that, they relate to you. They feel like they can trust you, and so you want to just almost be like their best friend. And when you do that, you'll find that the results are much better for you. So what I wanted to share with you now is that free PowerPoint presentation template. And so we have that for you. If you go to this, if you write down this link here, bit.ly/elder-ppt-download, and then you'll be able to basically do what I just told you, right? Put your information in, and then you'll be able to get that emailed to you, and plug your information in, use that as you wish for your upcoming events if you don't already have a presentation template to use for an elder law workshop. And then finally, I wanted to thank you for being on this. As a kind of like a benefit to all the Wealth Merge attendees, if you do workshops, we'd love to offer anybody that's on this presentation the chance to work with us for one event, one venue. We market your workshop for $197. And if you're interested in that, you can go to bambiz.net/wealthmerge and get that. And we'll keep that up for probably the next 24 hours after this webinar. And that's pretty much what I had, about the 30-minute mark here. So it gives us 20 minutes or so here for questions, and would love to answer any questions that anybody has about marketing or workshops, or just finding clients online and getting them to become a retained client at your firm.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. There are a couple of questions here. What would you say is the best length of time for a seminar that an attorney would do, as far as from the time that the clients arrive to when they leave? How long would you want the seminar generally to be?
The best would be like a 45-minute seminar with like 15 minutes of Q&A. The longest I would go is 90 minutes.
Okay. So we have somebody here that is indicating that the offer website is not working for them.
Oh, which one?
The bambiz.net/wealthmerge.
Make sure you have the HTTPS://.
Okay.
Because it's a secure website, and so you'll need to have that on the beginning part.
Okay. And then another person is asking what software you recommend to use for automation emails that are sent out.
Typically, any of the main ones, like the Awebers, the MailChimps, the Active Campaigns out there, are going to be able to do that for you. We personally like to use MailChimp, and so that's what we're running it through. But any of those platforms should be able to do that. I believe even some of the ones that are made for law firms, like the Clios and stuff, I believe that they even have that ability.
Okay. Do you have any experience with using Zoom workshops or digital workshops, especially in the winter months, versus a live seminar? One of the questions.
Yeah. So this is a lot of fun, actually. So my best tip for you, if this is something you want to do, is do a live presentation, and then hire a video. This is where you hire a videographer, or maybe you have a good camera and you film yourself doing a live event. And then once you film yourself doing the live presentation, it does two things. One, you only have to do the presentation once, right? Because you're already doing it in front of a group of people. And then two, it gives you social proof on your recording, because you have a room full of people like in there already, so that they're seeing that like you're actually talking in front of a group of people that are already interacting with you. And then if we were managing that, what we would do is upload that to like YouTube or Vimeo or some type of a video hosting website. We would integrate that in with like a registration page or a landing page, whatever you want to call it, so that people provide their name, phone number, email address, and that type of thing. Click on the button to watch the presentation now. Then they're able to watch the presentation. After they watch the presentation, your office gets a notification saying that Jane Smith watch this, and then to give them a call so you're able to follow up with those people ASAP and get them into a consultation or the next step.
Okay, awesome. Somebody is asking if you have used Facebook Live to encourage interaction or engagement with your firm.
Yeah, so the problem is only people that like your page are going to see the live. And so if your Facebook page has a lot of people that already like the page, and they're not like just your mom and dad and your family members and past clients, then it could be worth it if a lot of people like your page. Otherwise, nobody's really seeing anything that you post on your Facebook page for the most part, because Facebook's not, they're organically or naturally not showing those pieces of content. Like if you post a piece, if you have 2,000 people that like your firm page and you post a status update or a Facebook Live, 10 people might see it or 8 people might see it, because they want you to pay for ads now on those business pages. So the best thing that we've seen would be to record yourself like it was a live, upload that post to Facebook, and then run a video of you ad to your target market. That's, then now you're paying them for ads, right? But people that have never heard of you before are going to watch it, and then it's a much more engaging piece of content. And if you have a call to action in it, like, this is, if you like this, this video, click here to download our guide, or click here to schedule a consultation, or click here to come to our workshop, then you'll find a lot more value out of doing stuff like that.
Okay, another question is about the cost ranges to do Facebook campaigns.
Yeah, so it depends on what you want to do, right? And so like the number one thing that people use us for as a marketing company for Facebook campaigns is going to be filling workshops. And using us, the national average with the Facebook ad spend, you're looking at about $30 nationwide right now for an elder law household to make a registration for their events. In some places it could be a little bit higher, in some places it's lower, right? But that's where we start. And it scales, right? So if you want 30 people to register for an event, your Facebook ad spend is going to be somewhere around the $900 to probably $1,000 mark to get 30 people to make a registration for your event. If you're trying to just get somebody to download a guide or an ebook or something like that, then obviously the level of commitment is much lower. So you're typically looking somewhere around like $4 to $8, depending on who you're targeting, for somebody to provide their contact information and download that resource. And the beautiful part of that is if it's costing you $5 to get somebody to download a guide, and if you want 100 people to download that every month, it costs you $500 in ads, and you can add 100 people to your list every month. So it's good.
Okay. How much lead time do you suggest for advertising for a workshop?
When we're doing it, it takes about 3 or 4 business days to build out once we have everything, and then we like to have about 2.5 weeks to market your first event. And then from that point, once we do the first one, probably like to have a week and a half to 2 weeks in between the next one, as long as they're the same venue, same location.
Okay. And then another person here is asking if you also help with other marketing services outside of filling workshops, as far as follow-up emails and newsletters, guides, and things that people can download.
Yeah, so basically what we're doing is we can do workshop marketing. We can do email management. So we'll send you a questionnaire. You can fill that questionnaire out, and our creative team will write those 5 emails that we talked about earlier in the presentation. And then we also send out a weekly email newsletter to your list to keep your firm top of mind until that person either unsubscribes or they eventually come do business with you. And the nice thing is that's designed and created for your firm. And then the other service that we do provide is like a local authority marketing. So it would be like our version of SEO, where you tell us the type of client you're looking for. So if you're looking for like crisis planning cases, for example, then what we do is we work with you to build out pieces of content that attract your ideal customer. And then what happens is when they're searching for that, when they're like, oh man, I can't sleep because my mom's about to go in a nursing home and she's going to lose all of her money and whatever. When they Google that or Bing that search query, your firm is the local firm that shows up in the search results and answers that question and provides you with that, that new client potentially.
Okay. How many workshops should an attorney do each month?
I guess it comes down to what can you handle, right? We've seen cases where like attorneys start with us, they try one, they're like, oh, this is unbelievable, let's add two, and they're like, this is unbelievable, let's add four. And then what happens is a lot of those people start slipping through the cracks, right? Their office becomes overwhelmed, they were understaffed for four. So there's going to be a sweet spot in there, depending on the size of the firm and your support staff and how you're able to handle everything. I'd say most of our attorneys are probably doing 2 a month. And again, that could be 10 people per workshop or over 100 people per workshop. Some people do them in their office conference center with like 5 to 10 people. Some people rent out entire hotel ballrooms and pack in 150 plus people per event. And like I said, it scales. So when we talked about like how much it costs to get a household and make a registration, and then, if you wanted 100 people to show up, you just times that by 100.
Okay. Another question here is, what do you feel is the second best way to advertise for workshops after Facebook?
Honestly, direct mail still works. There's everything works still. It's going to cost you more money to do it with direct mail. There's a lot more competition out there with the direct mail. But if you're doing workshops and you want to stick with direct mail or newspaper, all of those methods still work. It's just going to cost you a little bit more money.
Okay. And then it looks like the last question here is, how many people generally need to view an ad before you would be able to fill a workshop? So how many people need to see the ad before they actually take action?
Yeah, so again, we don't judge it by, Facebook would call it impressions, or marketing would call it impressions, how many unique people saw your ad. And so Facebook, when we're running these campaigns for our clients, your cost for the advertising is based on the impressions, but the average cost to get the lead, which would be the household, which could be 1, 2, 3, could be mom plus her adult children, it could be the adult children plus the parents, it could be the family, it could be, one registration could be like 4 people. But the cost to get that household typically on average is about $30 in ad spend. And so we have some clients that are getting people to sign up for their workshops for $12 in ad spend. We have some people in like some really competitive areas that are getting people to sign up for $70 in ad spend. But typically they're okay with that still. The $70 is even still really competitive, especially I know some of our competition out there, they're charging $300+ to get a household to show up for a workshop. So. And then one thing I did forget to mention on the previous question, I think someone was asking about guide downloads, and that is something that we do offer as well. Where we already have them written, or we can use stuff that you've written. If that's something that you're interested in, we provide that out there. So that is included in our marketing service if that's something that somebody's interested in.
Great. And do you want to give everybody your direct contact information? I was kind of thinking on this last slide that it would be here. Just your email and phone if people have follow-up questions.
Yeah, I guess I must have forgot to put that on there, but you can reach out to me directly. It's Jim, Jim, at bambiz, BAMBIZ.net. You can reach anybody on our team at team@bambiz.net. And if you want to reach out to me on phone, my direct line is area code 305-814-9272. And I'd love to talk to you, learn more about your firm, see what you're currently doing, and then if there's a way that we can help you, we'll let you know. And if we think that you're doing everything right, and then there's no way we can help, we'll let you know that too. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Jim. We really appreciate your time today and your excellent information. And I want to thank all of our attendees for joining us. Our next webinar is going to be on December 11th at the same time, 12 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Central. We're going to be talking about planning for an individual that has retirement accounts. So Feel free to register for the next webinar on our website, or you'll also get an email with an invite to the next webinar. Thanks again, Jim, and thank you everybody for attending.
Thanks for having me.